Alright, everybody, this is Cholera, and I'm with Rise and the winner of the Commentator Idol, casting the Saga MSL Round of 8. Now, if you haven't watched the finale of the Commentator Idol, I suggest you do that right now. I'll give you about 3 seconds before I announce who it is. And it is Kenny casting. Kenny has won the Commentator Idol, and he is going to be with us in the next few days and possibly in the future casting games with us on the Vilatag account. And we're very excited today to be casting this round of 8 series, best of 5 between Jangbi and Nada. And I gotta say, my heart is for Nada. Nada, a 6-time Star League champion, but I gotta say, Jangbi is so strong against Terran. He is the best Protoss versus Terran player in the world right now, statistically speaking, and he has a cool keyboard. I don't know. What are your guys? What are your predictions, Rise and Kenny?
Well, I think that this is going to be a very interesting game because, one, we've seen Nada play some ridiculous games against people like Stork, who are great Protoss players, and he did great against them. Historically, though, I mean, he hasn't done the best against Jangbi. I mean, one of Jangbi's key moments was when he did those panty-wetting storms that were all over the internet, and that was against Nada, actually, I'm pretty sure, and Nada lost that game, of course, after all those storms, after the entire map was basically stormed simultaneously. And now, I mean, we got a pretty good map pool here, and they're pretty even for the most part. One is a little Terran favored, one is a little Protoss favored, but overall, you know, I'm expecting this to be a very well-matched game between two very good players and two of my favorites, to be honest.
Yeah, I gotta agree with all those comments. Really, Jangbi being one of the just powerhouse Protosses, of course this being the round of 8 in the MSL, so I think all of us old school StarCraft fans are looking forward to Nada doing well. A little bit of our hearts is with Nada at all times, of course, just because he's being one of the all-time most successful StarCraft players. He really revolutionized Terran and is just really a fun player to watch all around. They are going to be playing on Byzantium 2, which is a pretty interesting map. So like Rise was saying earlier, some maps favor Protoss a little bit more, some favor Terran. But then again, we don't want to necessarily focus too much on the statistics, but overall I think we're going to see a really good game, and I think that Nada could give Jangbi a run for his money, although I would say Jangbi is probably the favorite for these next, well, possibly 5 matches.
Yeah, I mean, Tears of the Moon isn't one of the maps. That's an OSL only map. Otherwise, I would say that's the series is already 1-0 in Nada's favor. But the MSL maps are actually quite balanced. I really don't see any of these maps. There's no Medusa here either, so there's no Protoss favored maps either. Really, that Protoss favored maps, I guess. Destination is pretty Protoss favored, and that would be the 4th game if it's being played. In any case, though, Nada, you know, I gotta say, Nada probably would do better in the early game than Jangbi. So I'm gonna guess he's probably gonna go for relatively faster strategies. You know, not necessarily on Byzantium 2, but just in general, I feel that Jangbi's mid-game play, especially when he gets those High Templar and the shuttles, is just so deadly that Nada should probably go for an earlier game win. You know, going for either just a fast factory attack or some kind of creative play like a vulture drop or something non-standard like that, because I feel like if you compare both players, while Nada is very good at macro, his weakest lineup still is against Protoss, and a lot of times in the Protoss late game we see him just not particularly do anything brilliant. You know, he just masses up a lot of vultures. That's pretty much his one characteristic move, but you know, he doesn't necessarily have Jangbi's crazy multitasking and crazy use of storms. So looks like both players are scouting the wrong direction here, and that might affect the scouting pattern, and that might affect the tech choices, or at least the early game knowledge a little bit here. Both are going to get to scout second here, it seems.
Yeah, and so both players going for very standard builds so far. Nada going for his 1 Rax gas. I'm not quite sure what he's going to decide to go after that. And in the meantime, we see 1 gate tech coming from Jangbi. So really, both players about to tell us what they're going to go. And it looks like we're going to actually see a 2 gate. It looks like it might have been a 10-15. I don't actually know what his side count is, but it's going to be pretty close to that. So Jangbi may be looking to put some early pressure on Nada. And we'll have to see if Nada decides to go for a quick 2-fac himself, or maybe he'll just go into a fast command center right off the bat. I don't know, because I can't see how many SCVs that he's got mining gas. And here we see range coming from Jangbi, actually. So he's definitely definitely going for this 10-15 gate-ish, whatever it ended up being. Pretty techish build here, high pressure goon build. And I think this is a good move against Nada. I think he's going to be able to keep Nada kind of back a little bit if he's got good play. And if Nada decides to go vultures, though, he might be able to sneak out and do some harassment of his own. So we'll have to see what these players are able to do with their choices.
That's definitely right. I do think that was a 10-15 gate that we do see Jangbi going, which would mean that he's going to go for the early pressure, obviously. And this is a great map to do it on, seeing that the players' mains are on a lower ground and their ramps lead out to higher ground. So 10-15 gate is especially advantageous for this map because you're able to contain the Terran and really put a lot of pressure on them early game. So what the Terran's probably going to be looking to do is hold that high ground and make sure that the Protoss doesn't take any advantage there. As you can see, Nada already putting his Marines up on top. Now that is to keep the Jangbi from putting any additional goons up top that ramp and really holding him into his base and taking a good control of the map and moving into maybe an expansion or whatever he really may want to do. This is a really great choice by Nada. You have to agree that this is really the only thing he can do to prevent what's going on from Jangbi. He's going to want to get that tank out very soon, and he's going to need to micro it very well because if he does lose that tank, the game could be over extremely fast for Nada. So be looking for Nada to have his tank popping out any moment now, as it is about the timing for that tank to pop out. We do see the, looks like the 7th Marine going out now, so this is going to be very crazy, and he's going to have to micro this extremely well. More Marines coming out as well.
Yeah, this is letting me think he's most likely going to be going for a fast attack. Normally you don't get 7 Marines unless you're thinking about pushing out really soon afterwards, and we haven't seen a command center. We also saw the resumption of gas mining, by the way, so we might be seeing possibly a starport, possibly a late second factory, although that'd be strange. I'm gonna actually predict a starport is likely at this point, and some kind of drop play, but it looks like he's gonna try to push out here. Not gonna have that much success. He's still producing Marines though, and the thing is, he needs to make this attack work because otherwise these Marines are not cost effective at all. 50 minerals you don't want to be spending on a Marine. You want to rather get vultures. They're so much more useful with their mines, and these Marines are just they're just good temporarily, and it looks like Nada picking off one of the Dragoons, picking off 2 of the Dragoons. That's actually really impressive. Nice work there by Nada. It looks like he is going to fast expand. He's actually not going to go for more tech first, but he has saved up a good amount of gas from his constant gas mining during this entire time. So he definitely isn't in a poor situation in terms of being able to get a lot of units out should he desire to do that. And looks like Jangbi has been pushed back here. He's got a robo going up. So, both just exchanging early shots at one another, and a robotic support base going up for Jangbi. So he's going to be going fast reavers here. I think he's assumed there's going to be a fast expand, and it looks like not going to go for tech. He's going to play defensively and get an engineering bay down. We saw in the last cast I did where going for a Wraith to try to do anti-air just totally failed against the great Bisu. It was a Terran versus Bisu. I forgot who it was actually, but anyway, we're not going to see him try to do anything audacious like that. He's going to play a standard game, get an engineering bay, and then an armory.
Yeah, and I think this is smart play from Nada, to be honest. I think this is exactly what he needs to do. He was able to defend the pressure, the early pressure. I think he scouted what was going on pretty well, so he had a pretty good inkling of what Jangbi was looking to do. And by getting this advantage here, this early, this early advantage of getting that expansion up so much quicker than Jangbi, if he can just defend whatever might be coming next from Jangbi, he's going to be all set. So we saw him put spider mines down in the front because he doesn't know if he's going to see DTs or, although I think he did rescout it with an SCV later. And then he's also got the eBay going up, so he can put some turrets up around to defend against any Reaver play, which just popped out right now and is heading over to the base with a couple of Zealots as well. I've actually been practicing this build myself, probably not nearly as good as, well, definitely not nearly as good as Jangbi. And, the benefit to this build right here is the fact that he's got those 2 Zealots. He can do a humongous amount of damage, amazingly enough, with just 2 Zealots because of the tanks. So many tanks that Nada has, those Zealots are just going to be able to focus on those tanks and totally take away the advantage of siege capability, especially if they're next to a turret or something like that. But again, Nada completely setting up turrets so well around here that I don't know if Jangbi will even manage to get inside the base. And the other thing thing is, I wanted to mention real quick about that poll that we just saw. It was 51% in favor of Jangbi from the audience, and it was 49% in favor of Nada. So apparently, everybody watching, whether or not they love Nada or whatever the case is, I think everyone is expecting an even game here. And now we're going to start seeing a little bit more of a defensive game, and Jangbi certainly going to be putting up an expansion at this point as well to try to keep up.
And as you can see right there, Nada is doing a brilliant job with those turrets. Really what a lot of Terrans try to do is set up turrets around their base and basically create this impenetrable wall where really if Jangbi wants to go in with the shuttle, he has to lose his shuttle and pretty much suicide his units, and that's exactly what he wants to do. So he's doing a good job keeping that shuttle out of his base. Really he had his expansion up and running far faster than Jangbi did, so he's really already in an advantageous position. He just doesn't want to lose any SCVs here. Wants to keep his unit count high. If he can do that, he's definitely got a huge advantage. As you can see, Jangbi just trying to put a little bit of pressure on the front. Now I'm interested to see if Jangbi's going to go for something kind of all-in-ish with this shuttle and try to reduce the amount of SCVs, as he does know that he got his expansion up a little bit later than Nada did, although he is putting up his third expansion, so he is going for that double expand that we see so much out of the Protosses these days, so he knows that he can catch up economically, but really right now he's just trying to do that damage that he can, reduce the numbers of Nada. I think right now he's just using this shuttle to make Nada build a whole bunch of defenses and really play in his base so that he can use the map to his advantage and really push a lot of probes out and get his economy going just in such a stellar way. As you can see, he's really not using that shuttle at all, and it's really not a bad thing. I mean, if you just don't use that shuttle, it's still there for late game. You can still use the Reaver to take out vultures, etc., and you can also use those zealots to zealot bomb on top of the tank. So that shuttle is still useless. A lot of people tend to think that if you go Reavers, you just have to use them right away, and that's not necessarily true. As we see also a dropship coming out of Nada, so Cholera calling it right in the beginning there is some dropship play, and I have to say this might catch him with his pants down here because he does not have any defenses in his main base. He has a couple goons at his natural, but the majority of his forces are back over at Nada's base, so this could do a lot of damage if Nada's able to control these vultures very well, which he obviously is usually known for. So hopefully you see some damage. The shuttle is coming in right now. Vultures dropping. Jangbi is very on top of it, moving his probes out.
Wow.
He hasn't lost any probes yet. Looks like he's only going to lose one. Goons are already there with an observer, so Jangbi is on top of his game, knows exactly what was coming. Really brilliant play so far out of Jangbi.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with, you know, that was a good defense, but I would actually disagree about with the shuttle. I'm not saying he should have suicided it in necessarily, but I gotta say, if he doesn't do any damage with this harassment, he is way behind right now. Even though he's trying to put up a double expand, and that'll eventually get him back in, he expanded like 3 or 4 minutes after Nada did, and he didn't take out a single SCV, and you don't want to be in that position as a Protoss, because as you could see inside of Nada's base a little bit ago, he's putting up 5 factories right now. He's going to get a timing push out pretty soon, and now he's discovered the new expansion, and this is going to be horrible for Jangbi, although Jangbi has a shuttle actually, I was going to say, because otherwise he'd be able to stop mining there. He's going to drop it to natural. Looks like the shuttle's going to go down, and that's going to be the end of Nada's harassment. I wouldn't call that a very successful harassment. Although the one thing it's allowed him to do is right now push forward a little bit, because Jangbi pulled all of his Dragoons back, and now Nada's going to safely pick up his mineral only there on Byzantium. He's also gotten, looks like, yeah, he's gotten 2 armories, a science facility, and you know, with his macro advantage right now, I think he's going to be soon in a very comfortable position to push out, and the Jangbi won't have the necessary tech to deal with it. I don't think he has the Templar archives. He certainly doesn't have Storm yet, and Nada, knowing how good Jangbi is with Storm, definitely wants to catch the Protoss before they get their next level of tech up, I think.
Yeah, but on the same point, I got to say, you know, unless Jangbi gets that level of tech, he can't really push out. And at this point, I still think, oh, look at that Reaver play trying to take out a couple SCVs, using the ramp in the background and do some damage. Looks like he's not going to really manage to do anything with that, as Nada gets his SCVs out in time, a turret up as well, and tanks to defend that ramp, which is going to make it pretty much impossible with Jangbi to currently push up that ramp with his forces now. And what I was going to say was, if he doesn't get those Templar, you know, Nada's in a great position, but if Nada doesn't move out and take advantage of that, like you were saying, he's going to be in a lot of trouble because Jangbi's so good. It looks like Jangbi's
Right.
actually opting to go for a Arbiter tech at this point. At least he's got Stargate going up, and it leads me to believe that he would go Arbiters because he's already got that Templar Archives out. And Nada, in the meantime, I'm sure he's doing a pretty good job with his macro as he tends to, but I feel like he should be being more aggressive right now. I think that he should be trying to make that push, but of course, he doesn't really have that ball yet to push out. Instead, he's going to pick up another expansion, and he's going to play the really safe macro game. But really, I don't think that's actually the safe game to play. Not against a player like Jangbi, who this is what he does. You know, once he gets that high level tech, then you're in trouble. So Nada, I think, is kind of squandering a little bit of an opportunity at this point.
I have to agree with you in a way that he is letting his advantage slip away a little bit. Now, one thing to note, though, is that Jangbi has been very good at defending and really deflecting all that Nada's tried. Nada has sent out some vultures, he's sent out some dropships, and Jangbi's really deflected those and showed that he's not going to take any form of harassment. He's really hasn't lost any probes, no economical damage, and we do see a Reaver drop going in here. Looks like he's just messing around, trying to get this turret, maybe try to get some shots off on these SCVs, but there are Goliaths and a lot of tanks there. I think this would be a good idea for him to step away and not waste this Reaver. It is useful late game. I just have to say right now, you guys are completely right. If Nada is not able to affect the economy of Jangbi's just going to get so huge, and it's going to be very hard to deal with. As you mentioned, Arbiter's already coming into play. Looks like one is in the queue right now, going up, and that's going to be out in just a minute or so, and that's going to make it even harder for Nada to make this push successful, as with stasis and... Yeah, there is an upgrade advantage as well. I just noticed that. Looks like Nada's got his upgrades going way early. I did notice he put down his science facility quite early, so it looks like he's going for the double armory type build. We've seen some from Flash and a lot of other players recently. So I think he's going to try to use those upgrades, hopefully to his advantage, but he's going to need to move fast.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually the Flash build, though, and he's moving out right now with the +2/+1 timing attack. This is going to be so powerful against 000 from Jangbi that I think this could win the game right now, and I think this is what he was actually waiting for, was to get the +2 attack, and it's just such a powerful build. He really just got it completely off the book from Flash, and, you know, it definitely works very well. There's a reason why Flash won so many games against Protoss with this build, and it really, if Nada is not harassed, as he has not been harassed, he's already grown very big, and it's going to be hard for the Protoss to deal with it. So we're going to see what happens right now. It looks like Jangbi continuing to try to stop Nada from expanding, but, you know, because of this the long distance between these maps, I think that's probably the reason why Nada wants to get to an even higher unit count before moving out, just because he doesn't want to get harassed. He wants to fight one decisive battle and then destroy Jangbi, and we're just waiting for that right now. Jangbi probably already loaded up with some high Templar in these shuttles also.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to see that massive ball versus ball action, and you know, the Flash build is beatable, you know, and Jangbi, if he sets up some good flanks and he's got storms in those or Templars in that shuttle to do some nice storms, he could be in good shape. But definitely the upgrades are going to hurt a lot. And I'm a little surprised that Jangbi didn't upgrade at all. Actually, I haven't caught his units in a while, but I know that he's definitely behind. Yeah, well, so really again, but Nada, it's like he should have pushed out. He's still sitting in his base. I really don't know what he's waiting for. He's trying to like entice Jangbi to attack him, but that's not really how it works for a Protoss player. I mean, you don't just attack the Terran turtle, or maybe you do if you're me. But I mean, other than that, Jangbi obviously knows that this isn't going to succeed until he can catch Nada out of position, moving out. Tanks aren't sieged up, so he can go in and out, get a good flank. He's got that Arbiter out now. He's got the shuttle. He's going to be able to get a good stasis or two. But EMP might play a big role here, as we see a science missile there. It looks like Nada is setting up midfield. He's got all his vultures out in front, perfect positioning, laying mines. And again, that science missile out in front, looking for that Arbiter, waiting to make its move if it has EMP. But again, that shuttle is a little bit of the X factor in my mind here, because the shuttle, of course, you can't EMP the Templar inside the shuttle, so he may be able to do some good damage. And here Nada is moving out and pushing in to the main area of Jangbi, and it looks like we're going to see the turning battle at this point.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be just a one battle here, and it's going to decide all. Nada using the map to his advantage a bit here, nuking some of those probes with his tanks behind the line, moving over to the other expansion with a couple tanks. This is really smart. He's keeping most of his army together while moving a couple tanks to different expansions, really forcing Jangbi to have to make a decision whether he wants to defend those or whether he wants to confront this huge army of Nada. And it's going to come down to this one battle, I believe. This could be it right now. This looks like the players are going to engage on a lower ground. Looks like Jangbi saying this is it. He's moving in. All storms are going off. A lot of vultures going down, but there is a ton of tanks beyond that line. I think Jangbi realizes that, and he's trying to save all he can, but I think the damage might have already been done. Those upgrades just turning those goons into a huge pile of blue goo, as it's always just such a great feeling as Terran to see that. And I think Jangbi's got to be worried right now. He's losing Expos, he's losing his army, and I think this could have been it. I think Nada really positioned himself well and just made a great attack. His upgrades really worked to his benefit, as we mentioned so many times. And I think that it was just exactly what Nada was looking for, taking out some of that economy of Jangbi and taking out his army at the same time. That EMP going off maybe a little bit late, but still doing the taking all the energy away from that Arbiter. So I think Nada may have taken this game. Rise or Cholera?
Oh, sorry about that.
Here.
Yeah, I am here. Mute issue. But anyway, I think the the fact that he got the Templar was also really critical. The fact that they were forced to drop amidst the Goliath fire, and then the Vultures selectively picked them off, meant that Jangbi didn't have his main weapon, which is the Storm he loves, and you know, he was definitely caught in a horrible position there. Like you were saying, Nada attacking at two fronts, forcing Jangbi to almost go all in and commit to fighting this large army, and Jangbi just wasn't able to do it. Now it looks like another EMP going off on both of the Arbiters. There's going to be no stasis at all. In fact, not a single spell has been cast by Jangbi this entire game, if you haven't noticed. Basically, he's gotten just gateway units. I mean, literally, he's gotten Zealots and Dragoons, and that's all. And he's been out-upgraded this entire time. Nada at 2-3. Jangbi probably just getting +2 attack and 0-0 for the armor shield. I am right. There we go, +2 there. And you know, this is the advantage of the flash build, and it's beatable, like you were saying. But it's beatable mainly by either out-expanding the flash build, which Jangbi didn't do, or rushing the flash build, which Jangbi also didn't successfully do. You know, playing a one-base strategy, getting a fast DT drop, fast Reaver drop, those are good against the flash build because it comes with late detection, and you know, that would work. But it looks like Nada now moving in for the final blow here. Finally some storms going off of Nada's tanks. Those are very accurate, but you know, there's just not that many other forces there left, and Nada now has taken down 2 bases. GG coming from Jangbi.
GG. Yeah,
Good
nicely
game.
done. I mean, Nada, he really did play a safe game, but in the end, the flash build definitely did come through for him. I mean, he had that crazy, scary turn ball, and he just rolled over everything that Jangbi had. And again, those positionings to the expansions definitely were a big game changer, if not really the fact that Jangbi didn't really be aggressive enough in the first place. So nice work by Nada, winning a game that, you know, he was slightly unfavored to win by 1% from the voting audience, but definitely exciting game to watch.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those games where the Terran just builds up, gets that critical mass of units, upgrades, and all of that, and pretty simple, pretty standard, but well played by Nada. He really took advantage of that attack and made it work for him, so he's going up into the next match up 1-0, which is a really great